Lok Sabha. In this lecture, composition and powers of Lok Sabha will be discussed. The Lok Sabha in the lower house of the parliament, and its normal life is 5 years, but the president can dissolve it earlier. Its life can also be extended during the operation of an emergency proclamation for a period of 1 year at a time, and the extension of life, however, cannot be continued for more than 6 months after the proclamation ceases to operate. So, in this lecture, we will discuss the powers and functions of compositions and powers of Lok Sabha, composition and election. Strength of the house means that it is Lok Sabha which fixed the maximum strength of the house. Originally, it was 500, but the first Lok Sabha consists of 499 members, and the seventh amendment to the constitution raised its maximum strength to 550 in 1956, and 14th amendment raised it up to 525, and the 31st amendment in 1973 raised from 5 to 525. And now currently Lok Sabha, the total strength of the Council of Ministers cannot exceed 5% of the total number of the Lok Sabha MPs. It means a cabinet 5% formula would be applied. And the current strength of the 17th Lok Sabha is 543 members. And hence the Council of Ministers cannot be more than 81. So, Lok Sabha, this is the composition of the Lok Sabha currently. And basically, these are 545, and the two seats are being reserved for the Anglo-Indian community, and it depends on the president that he divide that he lot and candidate going the highest number maybe is elected as the so schedule cost and schedule tribes for a period of 10 years being provided, and their seats are being reserved. And now comes directly elected means the election process. A candidate for election of the Lok Sabha must be a citizen of the India, and he should not be more than 25 years of age, and he is directly elected by the people on the basis of the universal adult franchise and the secret ballot and a joint electorate. Now comes towards the qualification. As mentioned, that qualification is 25 years of age and citizens of India, and not being a criminal and undischarged insolvent, and he should not hold a license or contract from the government. Now comes toward the disqualification of the member of the Lok Sabha, that a person shall be disqualified by being chosen as and for being a member of either of the House of the Parliament. So, if he hold an office of profit under the government of India or a state government, number one, number two, that if he is unsound mind and stands declared by the competent court of the India, and the third one is that if he is an undischarged insolvent. Fourth one is that if he acquires the citizenship of a foreign state or is under any acknowledgement of allegiance to a foreign state. And number fifth is if he is disqualified under any law made by the parliament. Now comes toward the sessions of the House. The House shall meet at such time and place as fixed by the President of the India. However, 6 months should not intervene between two sessions of the House. And the President may summon a joint session of the Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, and he may address the Lok Sabha or a joint session of the two. So he may also send messages to the House. And now comes towards some privileges of the ministers. Privileges of the members of the House are as follows: that freedom of speech in the House they have been given. No member shall be liable to any proceeding in any court in respect of anything said or any vote given by him in the House or any parliamentary committee, or in reject of publication by or under the authority of the House. In other respect, the powers, privileges, and immunities of the House and its members and committees shall be such as may be defined from time to time by the parliamentary laws. Uh, and the quorum of the House is 1/10 of the total membership of the House. Speaker. Speaker is the presiding officer of the Lok Sabha, and Speaker and the Deputy Speaker are elected by the House as soon as possible from amongst its own members, and they shall vacate office as soon as they cease to members of the House. The House may uh, remove them by a resolution passed by the absolute majority, and such a resolution can be moved only after a notice of 14 days. So the position and power of speaker is very, very important. Now comes towards another the powers of Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha has mainly three powers, but it has other powers. So rightly start from legislative power. That Lok Sabha has a vast legislative power. The House can make laws. This is the basic job of the House, but it may make laws along with Rajya Sabha regarding the subjects contained in the Union and concurrent lists. And of certain means on certain occasions it also can make laws regarding the subjects mentioned in the state lists. It is only possible when the Rajya Sabha passes a resolution that a particular state subject has acquired national importance and thereby authorities parliament to make laws relating to them. Its legislative powers increase immensely during the operation of the proclamation of the emergency. During general emergency, the House, along with the Rajya Sabha, is competent to make laws. Now comes towards financial powers. The House has exclusive financial powers. Financial measures can only be initiated in the House and not in the Rajya Sabha. So it is the custodian of the national purse, and it passes the budget and determines how money is to be raised and spent. If the Lok Sabha passes a money bill, it can be delayed by the Rajya Sabha by 14 days, and the latter means the Rajya Sabha cannot amend or reject a money bill against the wishes of the Lok Sabha. So the Lok Sabha has a upper hand and a strong position. Now comes towards the executive power. Uh, the House exercises control over the executive since the cabinet is responsible to Lok Sabha, so it continues in office as long as it enjoys the confidence of the House, and the cabinet can be thrown out of office by the vote of non-confidence passed by the majority of the members present and voting in the House. So no confidence in the government can be indicated in the following manner, like by passing a straight up vote of non-confidence supported by the majority in the House, by rejecting a government bill, etc., etc. Now comes towards the constitutional powers. The Lok Sabha enjoys, along with the Rajya Sabha, the powers to amend the constitution. So, however, this power is limited since amendments must be passed by both the houses separately, and secondly, amendments to certain prescribed provisions of the constitution must be ratified by at least half of the state legislatures. Now comes electoral powers. The elected members of the House participate in the election of the President and the Vice President. Judicial powers. The Lok Sabha, along with the Rajya Sabha, has some indirect judicial power. They can prevent a joint address to the President for the removal of judges of the Supreme Court or state high courts. And the House has also the power to initiate proceedings for the impeachment of the President. So this is their, it's a judicial power along with Rajya Sabha. Policy statements, the government in this house makes all important policy statements regarding the state. Next comes forum of public opinion. The House, Lok Sabha, is a strong forum of an acted public forum where all sorts of problems facing the country are discussed at length. And the discussions in the Lok Sabha get a lot of publicity in press. People get first-hand information and knowledge about all matters of vital importance. So this the discussion is thus a source of great mass education. There are some miscellaneous powers like the approval of the House is essential for the communication and proclamation of emergency, etc., etc. Lok Sabha, in spite of this, now I am going to conclude this discussion that in spite of all this, the Lok Sabha is not as powerful as the British House of Commons, since the laws enacted by the Parliament are subject to the judicial review of the Supreme Court if they run counter to the Constitution. So we can say that the House is elected for 5 years and elected for 5 years, and it can be dissolved earlier, and its life can be extended during a emergency time period. Next is that it is elected by a direct vote of the people on the basis of adult franchise and joint electorate, and it elects its own presiding officer who remains decorum and display your discipline in the who maintains decorum and discipline in the house, who is a speaker. Its legislative authority extends to the union and concurrent subjects of the constitution list, and it makes laws in the state lists regarding the subjects contained in the state list. So it has a exclusive control over the state finances, and the union executive responsible to it. So it can amend a large part of the constitution along with the Rajya Sabha, and it shares in the election of the president and vice president. So these are some powers of Lok Sabha. Thank you.